Hey y'all, it is December 31st, 2023, and that means predictions, resolutions for 2024. What are they going to be? What's going to happen? I don't know. But if you keep watching, you'll find out. So here we go. All right. So today is December 31st, 2023. We're heading into 2024. And, you know, I'm not a big looking back on the past year guy. I kind of feel like, the past year, it's the past. We're moving on, right? It's time to move into the future. It's what's coming next. That's what's important, right? Not so much what happened in this past year. We're more concerned with what's coming up next. So with that in mind, I have a couple of New Year's resolutions. The first of which is to keep pushing and speaking out about the terrible public charging infrastructure. Like, we really need to get that fixed. It's got to get better. I think it will in 2024. I think we're going to see a real improvement in 2024. And one can only hope that it will get better and better. Another resolution I have is that I'm going to keep on making these dopey videos. It's never really going to stop. I got people waving at me from in front of me. I don't know why, but they are. So anyway, I'm going to keep making these dopey videos. People wave at me because of it, whatever. That's not going to change. I like making them. I don't know if anybody likes watching them, but whatever. If you do, great, keep watching. And if you don't, well, there's plenty of other crap to watch on YouTube. I'm obviously going to keep supporting the EV community. That's never going to change. I'll always do that. Pushing EV adoption, always supporting people that are looking to make the upgrade to an EV from an ICE vehicle. Always willing to help people with that and to make that happen. So I'm going to keep supporting the EV community and EV adoption and keep pushing for it, because I just believe that it's the right thing to do. It's going to make the world a better place. I mean, yes, I do consider myself to be somewhat of an environmentalist, but am I crazy about it? Am I a zealot? No. But, if you can have a superior driving experience, a superior automotive experience, we all have to drive. So if we can have a better experience and do the right thing for the planet, I think it makes sense. We should be doing that, right? So I'm going to keep pushing for that. That will never change no matter what. So what are my predictions for 2024? Well, I think the public charging infrastructure is going to start to see some major improvements in 2024. I just think we're at the point now where EV adoption is coming on and the charging infrastructure just has to catch up. And I think it will. I think obviously the Tesla supercharger network opening up is a game changer in more than one way. It obviously opens up a ton of new charging points for non-Tesla drivers, non-Tesla EV drivers, and that's a great thing. That's fantastic for non-Tesla drivers, because the Tesla supercharger network is everywhere. And I know it's not all of them that will be open, but all those V3 and soon to be V4 sites that are coming along, I think it's something like 12,000 charging points that will open up. And I think what that will also do is that will encourage the other public charging companies to get better at what they do. You know, I think they're going to realize they have to keep up with Tesla, because at some point the government money is going to run out and they have to have a business model that makes money. And if your service is terrible and unreliable and basically useless, then no one's going to use it. Tesla will essentially then own the market. And really, whoever else picks up Tesla's model and, you know, makes their business model a double down on customer service and quality and uptime and reliability, they'll be the ones that, you know, are allowed to sort of play in the same pond with Tesla, because otherwise, you know, Tesla's going to own the charging market, which may not be such a terrible thing. But again, we can't just have one, because one company owning the market means then they don't really have to care about reliability and service, right? So we need competition in the EV charging market. So we just need good competition. So I think that's going to happen. I think we're going to start to see NEVI funding charging sites popping up left and right throughout 2024. We've seen that first one that's popped up in Ohio, the first one to go into the ground and go live. But I think we're going to see more and more going in the ground and going live all throughout the year. And that obviously increases the number of charging points for EV drivers. The only question I'll have on that is, how reliable will they be over time? I'm hoping that they'll be good. I'm going to, you know, give the benefit of the doubt and be optimistic about it, that they're going to be high quality sites, and, you know, we're going to start to see the beginning of a really solid, well put together, reliable EV charging network throughout the country, and DC fast charging network throughout the country. I think that's coming. I think, you know, in 2024, you're going to see the legacy car makers are still going to keep getting it wrong, not giving people what they really want or what they need, and just, you know, overall just being terrible business models. You know, they don't understand why Tesla kicks their ass at everything, and it's not hard to really understand. It's because Tesla does what people want. I mean, it's like Apple. You know, Apple just has their finger on the pulse, and they get it. They know what people want. You know, Apple kind of understands what people are looking for, what they want, and I think that's how Tesla is. I mean, think about it. I think Sandy Marone said it, that any legacy car maker could never have made the Cybertruck, because they just, first of all, would never have gone with a design that radical. They never would have pushed the boundaries on 48 volt systems. They never would have pushed the boundaries on steer-by-wire. They just wouldn't do it. And they would never even come up with the name Cybertruck, because they would have to run it through how many committees and focus groups to decide, oh, is this a good, you know. And so the way they do things, they always just come out with cookie cutter, generic, like, bleh. And right there is when my brand new GoPro video went black. Kept recording audio, but it was just nothing for video for the last like 7 minutes of that. So my last prediction for 2024 has to do with Chinese EVs. I believe that they will continue to proliferate around the world, especially in Europe, that they're going to continue to make excellent vehicles, because one thing is for certain, that all of us Western countries, the US, Europe, outsourcing so much manufacturing to China over the last 30 years, they've learned how to make things, and make things really well. And they make EVs extremely well. BYD, NIO, XPeng, there's others. They make really good vehicles, and I think that is going to continue in 2024. There'll probably be even more and more of them. And I'm curious to see if they're going to really make a push to try and find a way into the US market. Because right now, the tariffs are just ridiculously high. Our government really tries to protect the legacy car makers and keep the cheap EVs and cheap any kind of vehicles out of the U.S. market. But I feel like because the quality is so high and the U.S. market is so desirable, I wonder if those Chinese EV makers are going to try and find a way to get themselves into the U.S. market, because no matter how well you do throughout the rest of the world, the U.S. market is really where you want to be. That's always been the case. I think it always will be the case. The U.S. market is the market. And I think if they are able to find a way, whether it be through maybe acquisition of a smaller U.S. company, like I could see maybe NIO acquiring someone like Lucid to try and get into the U.S. market. I don't know if that would work, if that's possible, or maybe through a SPAC. Again, I don't know if this is even something they could even do to get around the tariffs, but I drive a Polestar that was made in China, and because they're part of Volvo, they're here in the U.S. That's a Chinese-made vehicle, and yes, they are going to build the Polestar 3, I believe, in South Carolina starting later this year, but all Polestars in the U.S. right now were made in China. They found a way to get around it. So I think we're going to see the bigger players in the Chinese EV market really make a push to get into the U.S. market in 2024. And whether they'll be successful or not, I don't know. But at some point, it's probably going to happen. And what will that mean for the legacy car makers, especially GM, Ford, Stellantis, the U.S. car makers? It will be tough for them. I think Tesla, Rivian, Lucid, they'd be just fine competing with the Chinese EV companies. But what is GM, Ford, and Stellantis going to do? That's going to be tough for them because they're slow to do anything. They're horrible when it comes to innovation. They innovate nothing. They're just not great. So the Chinese EVs getting into the U.S. would be a serious kick in the pants to the legacy car makers. So that could be an interesting thing to keep an eye on, if not in 2024, certainly over the next 2 or 3 years, because I think the push is really going to be on to get companies like NIO and BYD, XPeng into the U.S. market. And I think at some point the dam is going to break and they're going to get in, and it's going to change a lot. We'll see. So with that, I wish all of you a peaceful and prosperous new year. I hope 2024 is your best year ever. I think it's going to be, in a lot of ways, a great year. In a lot of ways, maybe not. It's an election year, so we'll see how that goes. But we can always hope for peace and prosperity throughout the world. And that, of course, is what I hope for, and probably won't happen, but, we can hope. So I hope it's a great year for all of you. I hope it's a great year for EVs, because EVs are awesome, and we all know it's okay to be awesome. Have a great year. Yeah, we're in a 35 zone. We're going 29 miles an hour, 28 miles an hour. This is why it's almost like, why build cars with all this horsepower and all this speed? Ain't going anywhere anyway.